the best in the world. SSG won a championship. FaZe made the decision to get rid of their dynasty team with Lethal for an opportunity at another potential dynasty, but that has yet to be kicked off. So there's a lot of pressure coming into this series.
So I want to move on to talk about this man on our screen right now, Pznguin. Pznguin has really got that adapting role for his team. He's very, very flexible in terms of what he needs to do here. And Brav, what have you noticed about his gameplay recently this weekend?
Yeah, some really interesting stuff. We'll have an oddball in this series. We'll talk about the series layout in a moment, but some really interesting stats coming back into the fold for Space Station Gaming. You might remember last year we were talking about how Pznguin had a really uneven distribution of objective stats, essentially running a lot of the flags, 80% of the flag pulls, and some pretty big outlier stats. That's actually back in Oddball. They've played 2 games of ball this weekend, and Pznguin has nearly 80% of the ball time across both games. Now, as you'd expect on FaZe, that's distributed much more evenly. Something like SnakeBite having the most, maybe around 28 to 29% or so of the oddball time. However, looks like Pznguin is kind of back on that track with a little bit more objective play, and I'm curious if they'll be able to do that in this series, because FaZe is really going to test if you can have a dedicated objective player.
Yeah, 100%. But you know what? I think with these two teams, I think it's always just going to be just bloodthirst on that main stage. They always have had it out for one another. They want this so badly, both of these teams. And I think legacies are on the line. You know, people want to lift that trophy. You're not in the top 3 and rotating, you know, comfortably between those spots for nothing, right? You are making sure that this happens here and now, especially at LAN when you have the chance. Looking at the series layout here, I want to know, Brav, you know, while I have you here and you have all the stats at hand, you know, what's going to be going on and what are some of the differences between here and Charlotte? Yeah,
this is a really interesting series layout. You let me know when I have to stop talking, because there's a lot of exciting things here. I think most importantly, neither of the teams have played several of these game types here in Dallas, which is important. So there's no precedent in terms of the direct matchup or the historical stats over days 1 and 2. CTF Argyle, neither of them played it. However, they're both undefeated in CTF. Neither of them have played StelluR Recharge here in Dallas. However, 5-0 in Slayers for SSG, 5-2 in Slayers for FaZe. The last time that we saw FaZe play this was actually a 50-48 over Optic in Charlotte, so that'll be interesting as well. As I said, Ball, the biggest thing I'm watching is if we're going to be able to see SSG run that, and to be honest, Stronghold's live fire and both the last Slayer are trending towards SSG records. So if FaZe overall, I think the takeaway is if FaZe wants to win this, the best way they can do it is in those first 3, maybe go to 4, but you don't really want to go to games 4 and 5 if you can avoid it if you're FaZe.
There you go, folks. You know how that one is hopefully going to run down for both of our teams, and we'll find out how they convert it into a win on either side. It is time to head on over to our 2 casters to kick this winners final off. Gaskin and Shurzy, it's over to you.
Thanks so much, Lottie. It's winners finals time. Dan, I cannot wait to get into this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a big one. I mean, it's the first time we've not seen Optic in a winners final in the entirety of Halo Infinite. Instead, we get the classic. We've got SSG, we've got FaZe, a Taylor's oldest time, 2 teams who have duked it out for years. And there's been a few team changes here and there. I mean, Renegade, I mean, this is an exciting one to see what he's going to do, and I can't wait to get into it.
Well, something else we have to talk about is both these teams on the stage here haven't won a championship in over a year. Is the drought to end this weekend?
Well, I mean, at the moment, form would certainly suggest that. From what we've seen over the last couple of days, it's been about SSG, it's been about FaZe, it's been less about Optic, but there is still that elimination bracket waiting in the wings, and Optic, I'm sure, will be ready to try and take down whoever would drop there. But first, we've got to get through a best of 5 with 2 of these absolute giants in the Halo Infinite scene. And as, of course, I mentioned, you've got a little bit of rivalry there. You've got Renegade, who used to be on this squad. Now he's on his new look FaZe roster, who want to be able to take them down.
It's Championship Sunday time. It's winners finals. It's FaZe. It's SSG in game 1. Capture the flag on Argyle. Dan, tell me something.
I mean, both teams have been very impressive when it comes to their capture the flag. FaZe, more of an aggressive team. They're very good at a high success rate when they pull that flag to securing a capture. But SSG, one of the best defensive teams we see when it comes to securing and stopping people from pulling that flag.
FaZe have not won since Kansas City. And this SSG roster, even before then, who's going to come out on top in winners finals? Shields up, weapons hot, we're underway here.
And of course, the grapple, very important at the start of this game. Try and secure that camouflage. Whoever's prioritizing it, big responsibility on your shoulders. Because if you can get that first camo, if you can make sure you can at least be tricky, sneaky, and get behind enemy lines, you can really start with a good precedent here in the game.
Bound pushing the pace immediately. FaZe were down 3 for a moment. Sniper rifle then hiding in the opposition vent. Eco's gonna pull the flag, get it moving. Bound looking to provide some cover fire, but drops down onto the snake, and he was coiled, and he was ready to go.
And Eco did start moving that flag, but very quickly will have to go back on himself. It's a little bit of a snipe off, but SnakeBite wins that one. And instantly, it's going to be that push stemmed. And Space Station going to have to rethink their strategy, rethink how they're going to approach this one.
SnakeBite picking up 3. To stop that flag right in its tracks. It's StelluR to be the latest victim. One whisks over his shoulder, but the battle rifle on hand to lock in a killing spree. 1v1 with Bound, but the experienced general steps down. Bound once more, and Bound gets him.
So we've already had one flag pulled by SSG, and it resulted in nothing. On average, they're stealing about 10 flags per game, but capturing around 4, whereas FaZe Clan have close to a 50% cap rate when it comes to their flag pulls. They're a bit more efficient. So if we do see FaZe pull a flag, you better believe they will have a strategy behind it and will certainly know the route they're going to take.
Royal 2, going through the gears, descending on the enemy base. Sniper rifle in hand, only one bullet to play with. One hit finds the body. Eco trying to back him down, does so successfully. Royal 2 retreats to the basement. Eco, has he done enough here just to stop any sort of danger of a flag pull? You can see him trying to clear out his angles. Gone basement, Royal 2's down to no shields. Eco comes around the corner, clears him out.
I mean, unbelievable from Eco, really. Off spawn, gets tagged in the body, is able to do enough damage with the battle rifle just to force him back. So many players would have just died there, and it would have been a very dangerous position to be in. Not only that, he ends up getting the kill. Camo's coming up, though, and you can see how everyone desperate to try and grab it. So important here on Argyle to have control of that camouflage.
It has been whisked away, but has a player managed to pop it into the chest and be an influence here in game number 1. The pace has been set nice and early by both these teams. Eco rolling up through sniper elbow. Renegade caught unawares, down to no shields. 2 go down for SSG on this push. That's going to stop any real momentum they have. Bound has a little bit of camouflage left, gets 1. Both teams pulling flags here. And Eco with the grapple sends it his way. Body shot onto Renegade by Bound. These long adversaries over the last few months. Bound, of course, replacing Renegade all that time ago, and has finally started to find his feet. He looks at home on this SSG roster. StelluR, flag gets sent home, 2 go down. Renegade and Royal 2 have to try and get the stop here.
StelluR taking a lot of damage, but he's in a good position to at least get a grenade down, and he gets the stick as well. That's massive for SSG. Flag still moving, and FaZe off spawn don't look like they'll be able to stop this one. SSG should be taking the lead, but you have to take the route up. There's going to be a chance you can shoot across map here.
Bound clambers his way up, takes absolutely 0 damage, and SSG draw first blood. They're 1-0 up.
And this is the fun thing about this matchup, and I was talking about those success rates of captures and defense when it comes to these two teams. Even though FaZe have been so good at capturing the flags they steal, because SSG are so good at sending them home, it means that you just get a butt of heads between these two teams. One who's very good at attacking and the other is a little bit better at defending. SSG strike the first blow. They'll take a lead. 8 minutes remaining. And sometimes these Argyle games can slow down where teams will just sit on that 50-yard line and wait. Hope the other team's going to push through. And as that camo pops, of course, then that's when things start to speed up a little bit.
Opportunity then for FaZe. Take map control. They need this camouflage. Have been able to grapple, you can hear it in the background. Camouflage has been scooped up. There's been a trade here and there, though. And it's going to be in the chest of Eco. Can he start to move and groove? Snipe shot just about evades the dome. And he thinks to himself, well, I'm not going that way, that much is for sure. He heads now up towards sniper elbow. Backing away to coils then. Playing this one extra patient, just trying to get information.
Well, Eco has the camouflage, SSG in control. It's a good time to jump into the comms and see just what their plan is.
Nice, nice, nice. They're for commando, trying to kill me, Frosty.
I don't see him anymore.
They're 50,
Watch out the PC,
watch out the PC. Bottom mid, Frosty. Nice, nice, do that. Watch out, bottom mid. Dead, two dead. Yeah, he's snappy. Nice, nice, dead.
On you, Brent. Melee.
Where's the sniper? One shot their snipe.
Still has 3.
Spawning back flag, I think. Spawning back flag.
I'm watching back flag.
2 back flag, 2 of them.
I'm gonna push in.
They can spawn out.
Yo, below you, Adam. Weak. Below you, weak.
They're back flag. Frosty is 1 shot dead.
Two dead.
John spawning, one's their back flag. Ray needs help.
If you go basement, I can help you.
Yeah, nice.
So there's
Last guy John.
I can pull.
I'll tell you when they spawn.
Watch out, John. Watch out,
Frosty spawn.
Watch out, John, S3. Watch out, S3.
Okay.
I gotta shoot.
Yo, spawn P on us, Adam. They're P, they're P, they're P.
Yeah, they're flag, they're flag. Literally just
You gotta drop, you gotta drop.
One shot their frags. Frag stars the commando.
Our grapple is
Commando
up.
one shot, Kevin. He's sitting on their commando.
Camo snipes 25.
I'm gonna look our P door here. I'm looking at our danger.
On Kevin, to your
Our danger, our danger.
Prior P door, prior P door, prior
I
P
don't
door,
see it, I
prior
don't
P
see it,
door.
I don't see it.
PCs, two of them, two of them.
R3 weak.
And it's one of those where they had the camouflage, they had the chance, but FaZe did enough defensively just to stop SSG from getting that flag pull. But this is all good for SSG shirts. 6 minutes remaining, they're still on top, they're still getting the slays. FaZe have yet to really get any sort of control in the middle of the map, but Renegade gets a double. That can certainly start things off here.
FaZe currently being outplayed at the moment by 8. 1 flag cap difference. Renegade looking to change things here. Pznguin backs him down. StelluR soars, looking to sniff out Royal 2, who desperately throws down some denial grenades, but not going to find a home. StelluR with another camouflage. This is 3 without reply for SSG.
And FaZe have done well just to stop it from being, you know, too difficult. They've not allowed SSG to just wander on into the base, get those flag balls, but at the same time, SSG know they don't need to. 1 is enough at the moment. In the FaZe Invitational, it was a 3-2 victory for Space Station over FaZe Clan on Argyle CTF, but this one looks a little bit tighter. Neither team is really opening up, and they're making sure they drop back to their base when they feel under pressure, really turtling up and ensuring they defend well. FaZe at the moment have done it far more often, but 4 go down for SSG, and now this is the chance for FaZe to finally start to push and get aggressive.
A chance, an opportunity then. It's going to be a trade for SnakeBite in the end. 2 down for SSG. And the rest of his teammates in the position that they need to be. Frosty trying to get some shots down onto StelluR basement. 1 shot left in the chamber for StelluR in this sniper rifle. Will it find a home? Will it find a dome? Bound and Royal 2 will eventually trade out. The early pressure that FaZe had, the early impetus is all but whisked away.
Final bullet at least connects, and StelluR can get a kill. But just around every corner, there's another FaZe player. Everyone being a little bit sneaky at the moment. I think that FaZe really want to get that opening pick and get the surprise onto SSG before they can take control. Also 13 seconds till that next camouflage. If anyone's got a grapple, they'll start to position themselves to be able to just whisk it away. Otherwise, you've got to try and contest it top middle. Grenade's very important as well if you're going through those pipes and vents.
Camouflage to pop soon. Eco goes down, 3 dead. This is a moment, an opportunity then for FaZe to get rolling.
Oh, Frosty!
Frosty! The Iceman's heating up here, and that's bad news, Bears. If you're SSG, Royal 2 gets another one. Renegade has camo. This is the moment then to tie us up.
Always good news for FaZe fans and FaZe in general. When Frosty starts to get loud, you know he means business, as now the flag can start to move. SnakeBite has the sniper rifle to work with, and Renegade takes down their sniper rifle and has the camo. This is FaZe's best chance of a cap. Oh!
Eco has to win and does win it, but has the flag made up enough ground here? SnakeBite opts to drop it and clear out house. Not pushing it too far forward. A warning shot over towards Eco, across the bow. Gets the flag touched now, and it's on the move. But does he have the pieces in position to help him secure it? The answer's no, as Pznguin locks in 2.
Flag is out, FaZe. Can they manage to grab it? Good time to jump into the comms. Let's go for a listening.
Okay, 3 minutes, 3 minutes.
Pushing their PCs, really weak, really weak, really weak. Yo, I need us to slice. Focus on kills.
Right, John? One shot their PC, one shot their PC. Raiden.
Our shoddy guy. One hit on our base going elbow, another one on our shoddy. Under our base is weak. We need to kill. We need to be ready to kill.
Arbo
Elbow sniper. John, look up now.
You're good.
And I got killed from my back flag.
Hey.
I want.
Yeah, our shoddy.
I don't see him.
Nice, last guy PC on that. Everything in 30, guys. We win this
Yeah,
game.
our bros.
We win this game if we get camp.
I'm leaving that guy. I'm leaving that guy and going there sniper.
Yeah, watch him bottom. He just went.
Yeah, he's still there, still there, bounce.
John, can someone come right with me?
Ammo
No,
snipe
I'm
20.
trying to kill
Ammo
this
snipe
kid.
20.
PJ, give me a sec.
I
go right with you.
There's one there PC, John.
Camo on 15.
Let's
Let's start game planning camo. Let's start game planning
There's
camo.
shoddy
He
there.
was under a base bound. He
Yo,
never told him
PJ,
about
I am with you. He
it.
called me out, PJ. They don't know where you're at.
He's weak, John.
Alright, we're dying here. Camo on 5. Camo on 5.
Probably gonna die here though.
We try to play for camo.
Yeah, there's 2 on me.
Our caution.
They're gonna be on camo. One shot bound.
He's still weak.
Okay.
Alright, everything's up. Everything's up.
Snipe him out. He's one main
Still up. They have
He's grappling. He's
one
trying to go
right now. Nice. Scam.
Running it elbow.
A lot of responsibility for Royal 2 with this sniper rifle. Stop that flag from being run. You heard it in the comms as well. Royal 1, the coach saying, we need these camos. If we can get a camo, we can win this game. But they still find themselves a flag down. 1 minute 35 on the clock. They were temporarily 4 dead. but they've done well to keep SSG at bay.
Time is running out. SSG playing this one perfectly. Just eating away at the clock all the time. What can Royal 2 do with this sniper rifle? Can he have an influence? Can he drive his team forward? The camouflage has popped up, and it's yet another one gone the way of SSG, and a win condition removed for FaZe.
Remember, Royal 2 so close to hitting those shots as well. Pznguin almost had his face ripped off, but now with 1 minute 10 left, and Pznguin can do whatever he wants. He's got so much freedom with this camo. If Frosty can take him down, that would be massive for FaZe's chance, but Frosty's the last remaining player, all 4 dead. Now SSG have a choice. Do you go for slays? Do you just play time here? But no, Pznguin says, you know what? Sometimes the best form of defense is actually offense.
Flag on the move. Pznguin throws it down. Faced with Frosty. Decides to give it up for now. 45 seconds remain. Pznguin again will meet Frosty, his old adversary. And as this time, the Iceman comes out on top, but has got to get forward here now. They have to move, or this game is dwindling out of their fingertips.
30 seconds, one last push, and that could be a big nade if he connects. Does not. Huge from StelluR, because now they have the player advantage. But suddenly, here comes the rest of FaZe clan. It's do or die. 20 seconds, Eco trying to stay alive to ensure that he can at least stop the flag from being pulled. Does go down as well, but is there time here for FaZe?
Can SSG hold the line? 10 seconds. FaZe need a flag pull here. Bound could be the man to stop any threat coming into the base. StelluR's beautiful nade banks up off the stairs and a double kill. And is that enough? The answer's going to be yes. SSG win game 1.
Only the one flag was required from SSG, and ever from that point, it was just about controlling the map. It was about controlling that camouflage, keep it out of FaZe's hands, and they did just that. I think it was only 1 or 2 that FaZe were able to grab, and SSG had eyes on it constantly, very aware of where that camouflage might be pushing. They had the grapples, good snipe control as well. It was a very methodical game between SSG and FaZe, and I think that's what we've got to expect here, even though the entirely different strategies can be employed by both teams. When you get into the nitty-gritty, it can just come down to those little minor details.
SSG outslaying FaZe in game number 1 by 10, 77 to 67 respectfully, and something we've seen from SSG there is that was, like you say, methodical, but it was controlled as well at times.
It really was, and it was 24 kills for StelluR. And how many times do we see StelluR on a map like Aquarius, like roaming bottom middle and just finishing things off? Very different there on Argyle. He was playing the streets, he was playing the angles, constantly going down long haul and surprising members of FaZe and winning his engagements. Whether it would be just with a grenade, with a melee, he always had that little bit of an extra edge over the FaZe players when he got into those 1v1s. And the kills that he was able to get, just so important. It allowed the rest of his team to push up, get into some of those controlling angles, and then, of course, get in the position for the camouflage as well. Had we seen FaZe maybe get a camo or more too, then it could have been a very different game, shows.
And we have to talk about the influence the camo had. What a different game it might have been had SSG not had it on lock time after time. They found themselves in the right position to scoop it up, and that's not by accident.
And it wasn't even like they were grabbing the camo and then just running towards the flag and trying to get a sneaky one across the map. No, it was instead just lurking in the shadows, waiting for the moment, getting that pick, and then as soon as you have that player advantage, retaking control of the map. It was perfect from SSG, and I mean, it was entirely the plan from them right from the get-go. You could see that they wanted to prioritize that grapple. They wanted to make sure they were the ones who picked it up first rather than FaZe. And ever since then, they always had a game plan.
And when you pick up the camouflage, it's very easy just to try and force things sometimes and pull a flag when it's not really on. But they had patience when they really needed it. You can see Eco just roaming around, getting information for his team, quite happy to hold that 1-0 lead they had.
Well, that's one thing that sometimes playing in these top 3 teams, you do get given patience because all 3 teams like to play with structure. They like to slow things down here or there. And that means that you get a little bit more room to breathe, room to think. And if you give Eco time to think, sometimes it's going to be a difficult situation to play against because he's one of the best minds in Halo Infinite. Map number 2, of course, we move from Objective over to Slayer. And it is going to be Recharge. I mean, Recharge Slayer, one of my favorite to watch just because we get the introduction of the shock rifle and we have 8 players on the main stage who all, when given that weapon, can go off and can make a difference.
And FaZe, they've got to put more impetus, more importance on this camouflage. It can be huge in swinging games, and they let it get away time and time again.
And it's another game type that can slow down, that can just be a standoff. So you've got to make sure you have someone, at least in the area, to keep eyes on, to keep tabs on that camouflage. Even if you don't get it, where are they going? Are they just hiding in the corner? Can you bank a nade to take them down? And of course, have you got a way to stop them if they are able to escape? Comms are everything, and you've got to make sure you're prepared for where that camo might be.
Game 2 then. We're underway here. Our SSG to double their series lead here and have one foot in the door of the grand finals. Or can FaZe Clan answer back here and now?
It was SSG who came out on top over FaZe in the FaZe Invitational. It was 3-1 in the upper bracket, and then it was 4-0 in that grand final. And of course, remember back in Charlotte, it was FaZe who took down SSG. It was 3-0 back then, but SSG have already bettered that here at this LAN with a map on the board. You got to remember, SSG have only lost one map so far this entire tournament, whereas FaZe have dropped a couple more. 4-3 to start, and SnakeBite has at least been able to get that first camouflage.
SnakeBite able to trade out his teammate in Royal 2, who had just dropped down onto a grenade. As he roams now forward. Bottom elevator. No music playing though. Hoping to hear a victory tune come the end of this series. Pznguin down to no shields. SnakeBite's camouflage has dissipated, but the damage has been done. 3 kills, no deaths. At the moment, FaZe hold a very slender and slim 2-kill advantage. 2 members of SSG posted over towards pipes. You can see SnakeBite's not too comfortable trying to clear his angles here. Over towards bottom middle. Gets information there's at least one bottom tower.
You really do play a very vital role if you are holding bottom or top elevator and you have to watch across towards the top gold cross. Pznguin's going to be the next into the reticle of Royal 2. And Royal 2 should have help, but Pznguin gets a good trade thanks to StelluR assisting. 10-9. And Space Station really did bide their time with that push, but as soon as they were able to really create a gap, they suddenly burst into life and all push through together. It's one thing that SSG have always done well. When they decide to make a move, they all move together very quickly.
Renegade desperately trying to get away and get back to his teammates, but SSG ensure that will not be something that he can do. Camouflage has popped up now. SnakeBite making moves towards it. Where the members of SSG posted up. See one over towards Caution. Gonna play sneaky and could be in a 1v1 now. Bound up against the general. Backs away. Down to no shield. StelluR comes out for the bait and switch, and SSG. They're rolling. Pznguin picks up 2. Slides and slippers. Away with the camouflage then. It's a 4-kill lead now for SSG. They're just starting to step away from the boys on FaZe Clan.
Pznguin has that Needler in his back pocket as well. SSG always a team who does like to focus on the Needler. It's a nice little surprise attack. And Pznguin might be ready to do so. Has the grapple to work with afterwards. And just look how slow this game is. Every thought, every detail of which way you should be moving around the map is being considered by these two teams. There's so much respect for one another as well, and that's a huge kill, just making sure that camouflage is negated as early as possible.
Pznguin was unfortunate that 3 of his teammates had gone down as he had scooped it up. He goes in big trouble here. The best he could do was a trade, and that's good enough in this situation. They still hold a 1-kill lead. Pznguin gets one at the Royal 2. StelluR's going to run into 2 now, but manages again to get the trade. That's something that SSG have been doing very well as a combination of StelluR and Pznguin lock in and secure another kill. 3-kill difference. This game's on a knife edge.
Both teams have 4 up, and suddenly it will slow down again as everyone now will go for that initial pick. It really is play to play here with FaZe versus SSG. You'll have that moment where everyone just bursts into life when there's a few members that are down on either team. And you try and wrestle back that control. You try and get into those positions that will allow you to maybe force some spawns. Royal 2's picked up a big double elsewhere. At least StelluR replies with one of his own. But that is going to be a win for FaZe Clan in terms of that passage of play. They just want to find this last remaining player, which they do so. Renegade makes sure Bound goes down.
Renegade has shock rifle. Might consider throwing off the map here if he doesn't hit these shots. Has teammates on hand to get the trade. Royal 2 there to apply the back smack. 3 dead for SSG. And all of a sudden, FaZe Clan in the ascendancy. They have a 1-kill advantage. And a shock rifle to play with as well. Royal 2 pushes towards glass, trying to claim some more territory. In the process, they've lost SnakeBite, who was isolated over towards Whirlpool. Just a little bit ahead of his team. That could be the difference between a kill and a trade. It's just having a teammate follow you in. Shock rifle shot will not connect, and Royal 2 could be sacrificed, and is. Renegade steps away with the help of the grapple. Looking to provide cover fire for his team. One over towards Pznguin. Top tower down to the half shields. This is better. Both teams playing it with patience. But at the moment, it's FaZe with a 4-kill lead.
And these are the games that this man Renegade was brought on this team for. The responsibility of just being able to slay out with the likes of a shock rifle. We've seen him destroy so many teams over recent years. As things slow down once more, I'd love to jump into the comms of FaZe Clan and see just what they're thinking.
Keep this hold. They're scamming. John, Matt, the glass guy backed up. You want pipes? Weak top gold.
John, Brad, I'm one hit, okay? John, careful of that shock.
They're gonna push off this.
On BR, Brad, can you help me, Cat?
It's top cat weak.
I'm one, Brad.
Yes, one.
Mangler.
He's in the boxes.
Still Mangler.
You grapple behind me. I don't grappling.
Try to group up. You're kind of soldier. Play for yourself. Yeah, regroup here.
Behind man.
Nice, good trade, John.
I got it.
Guys, I'm in blue. They're gonna spawn glass.
Yo, listen to me. I have grapple for it. Live up, okay?
Yo, Valley. Yo, they're gonna make a glass play, bro. I can aimbot this.
Nah, I need you to play heavy. Pipe their weak.
Yeah, they're too long. Too long.
Two pipes.
I've been eighth one. Both weak. I got one. Another one weak.
I've gold.
Where'd he go?
I think he's single box.
There's gonna be one grapple. One gold is weak.
Nice.
Right side, first
Turn.
He's one about mid.
One came out. Nice, good trade, John.
See, Brad, see.
Communication is key. Something you picked up on there is Renegade just being lent a little bit of encouragement when he gets trades that perhaps he shouldn't. That can be the difference maker at times to ensure you still hold and maintain a lead. SnakeBite tries to grapple the camouflage towards him. Gets it the second bite of the cherry though, decides to step forward instead. This could be huge. They require 6. They've got pipe set up. StelluR's on glass, isolated from his team. Will he be the opening pick? SnakeBite's only interested in getting information here as he tiptoes over to bottom Mangler, throws a plasma grenade and a frag grenade to follow it. He goes in big trouble and Bounce trying to provide cover fire to get him out of there. He has escaped with his life for now. But SnakeBite's quite happy just to hold angles here as the camouflage dissipates.
Yeah, FaZe have too big a lead to really force anything at the moment. Make SSG make a move instead. When it was a very tight game up until about 34 kills and then FaZe exploded into life. As soon as they had any sort of advantage, they were constantly pressing, they were constantly forcing SSG back, and SSG, unfortunately, off spawn, weren't able to ever really get that control that they had in the early stages of the game. And now, with 4 minutes 30 left on the clock, an 8-kill advantage, and they've got the shock rifle, it's all in FaZe Clan's hands right now. It's just on them not to make a mistake. SSG will try and force one, of course, but they're going to have to make a play as Bound gets caught out trying to flank round over towards gold.
Renegade falls.
Wow.
It's a beautiful execution from SSG. 3 dead for FaZe. Make it 4. Textbook. StelluR now has all the ingredients he needs to bake a murder pie. Shock rifle in hand. Fires one over towards Frosty, won't connect, nor does the second or the third. It's a swing and a miss. And Renegade desperately tried to finish the damage, but he's been isolated. He's been the opening pick once more. Just needs to slow it down. Frosty has camouflage. This could be what he needs to secure the game for his team.
Yeah, that's great news for FaZe. They knew full well that camo was coming up. They just had to prioritize it. SSG couldn't afford to, really, because they would have left themselves too vulnerable and they would have given too many kills away when there's only a few needed for FaZe. So 2 more required. Space Station needs 7, but it's still doable, especially if they go for a similar push like they did before. They used Bound as a little bit of a decoy. 49 to 43.
World 2 gets Pznguin. StelluR answers back. Only 1 more death to play with, and it could be Ego, the latest victim and the last victim of this Slayer. It's going to be a trade from Renegade onto his former teammates. We're all tied up in the series here in Winners Finals.
And there was a very clear switch of pace there from FaZe in the mid to late stage of the game. Around 34, 35 kills. I think FaZe just realized that they couldn't afford to constantly be going tit for tat with SSG with, oh, you get a push, then we get a push, then you get a push, then you control this side of the map. They said, actually, let's start pushing the agenda a little bit. Let's take the initiative. Let's send 2 round towards blue. Let's make sure we start collapsing on them a little bit better. And then once they had that lead, once they could push that advantage, I don't think SSG were really expecting the speed of which the game started to take. And then once FaZe had about a 6 to 7 kill lead, then they could afford to slow things down once more.
FaZe really dictated the pace in game 2. Stark contrast to game 1 where it was SSG who had the better of it. We talked about how big the camouflage could be and how much patience was used by SnakeBite just to get information when he scooped it up. Not happy, not needing to push forward. They had the kill advantage, like you said. They didn't need to risk anything. And the entire time, SSG were terrified to move.
And you heard it during the FaZe listening of how important they thought the camouflage was. I mean, they knew how important it was in Argyle as well, but it did seem like they were better at prioritizing it here in map number 2. Whether it be just small talk, like I've got the grapple so I can get into a position to grab it, or if you fail to get it, I can at least save it for us. And I think that's what happened with SnakeBite. He did actually miss the grapple, not to call him out, but at least he got it anyway. But what a series we have on our hands in the winners finals here at HCS Dallas. 1-1 between FaZe and SSG. Of course, a place in the grand finals on the line. Waiting in the elimination bracket is Optic Gaming. It's the big 3 once again in Championship Sunday shows. Even though there's been a lot of trials and tribulations throughout the weekend, a lot of questions asked of some of these rosters, they still find themselves on the big day here on Sunday.
This weekend has had everything. Upsets, game 5s galore. But the cream has still risen to the top. Now, SnakeBite, is he looking at me? What's he looking at?
He's looking at someone right now.
Very handsome.
He's talking to me.
Game 3, though, on the horizon here. Oddball Streets, Dan. Is he looking at me? What's he saying?
Are they all doing it?
Lasers.
I know, it's kind of...
That's intimidating.
It's making me feel some sort of way. Oddball Streets is going to be map number 3. Both teams have yet to lose it so far this tournament. And you heard Bravo briefly mention it on the desk as well. You've got 2 very different strategies when it comes to oddball between FaZe and SSG. SSG, they love to have an objective player. That is Pznguin. He has 80% of the ball time back in Charlotte. He was the guy, right? They set up around him. He knows when to play it. He knows when to rotate it. He's brilliant. For FaZe, however, they like to spread the load a little bit more. Anyone can grab that ball. Most of the time it would be SnakeBite. I think he has a 40% ball rate when it was at Charlotte, but 20% for every other player. Like, they're all happy to get the ball. They all know that they can play with it, they can rotate with it, yada, yada, yada. Whereas SSG, they really will focus on building around Pznguin. And I think it is important to have a strong objective player on your squad. I know it's very different when we go from Halo to Halo. You know, back in Halo 3, people would have the roles of being the best objective player. You have to do a little bit of everything nowadays in Halo Infinite, but I do love it when we can kind of go back to just seeing someone really dominate in an objective game with their rotations, when they drop the ball, when they're going to be using their BR, when they should help their teammate, when they should play it. And Pznguin really is the best at doing that, I think, in the entirety of the HCS. So I'm very excited to see what he does here in map number 3.
And it's something that's been underrated and undervalued for time now as an objective player. It's almost been used as something to pacify. You say, oh, well, he's the objective player. It's almost like an insult sometimes to players. But when you have someone that, at the top level, the likes of APG, the likes of Pznguin, you're giving them the ball. And the reason is because they know exactly when to rotate, to throw the ball. They can reset the map whenever they need to. You put a lot of importance and there's a lot of significance on your objective player.
And a lot of the time you won't see the POV of that objective player rotating that ball. Instead, you'll be watching the guy with a sniper rifle, for example. But if that player does not move that ball in that way to that position on the map, they do not secure X amount of points and they probably do not win. And I know we joke about it sometimes and we'll be like, you know, they've only got 4 kills, perhaps they should pick up the ball. But you are completely right. It is such an important factor to have on your roster. And if Pznguin is that guy on SSG, it is SnakeBite on FaZe Clan, even though it's not as much of a high percentage. Some of the things I've watched SnakeBite do with an oddball is incredible. And whether it's just be his positioning where he puts that ball temporarily, he just puts it in a safe place whilst he takes a fight, and then he'll grab it a little bit later.
Having a little break here when players visit the bathroom. And perhaps it's another ploy, and you say sometimes players just go into the bathroom. I like to think of it as the dark arts.
I'm trying to tell you that map number 2, after map number 2, they are given a bathroom break.
I don't care.
All right, it's not even mind games.
Mind games.
Sometimes you just need to go to the toilet.
And you can see the SSG boys slowly trickling back. Take your time, boys. We will continue when you're ready. But we can talk about Oddball Streets, game 3, and it could be a real serious decider here.
It was 2-1 to SSG in the FaZe Invitational. It was a close-fought stronghold, Oddball Streets, but FaZe just weren't able to get over that finishing line. They weren't able to get those final few seconds in. SSG just kept getting a better setup. Again, I think that FaZe have got to make sure they don't allow the freedom for Pznguin, right? If you see that Pznguin is getting that ball, maybe just try and shut him down a little bit earlier and force SSG to put that ball in someone else's hands and say, okay, well, let's see how Bound's ball rotations are. Let's see what Eco does when he's put in a position where he has to hold the objective. And don't get me wrong, everyone on that stage knows how to play objective, but there are definitely players who can do it a little bit better.
There's something that's undervalued, and that's picking up scrappy ball time when you get the opportunity. And Pznguin seems to be one of the best in the business at picking up that ball, getting 5-6 seconds here when he's throwing the ball left and right, just securing seconds, and every one you get, of course, you're closer to winning the round.
And sometimes putting your life on the line just to get that ball away from the other team as well. How many times do you see it at the top of station, for example, and then someone desperately trying to toss it out into bottom middle? There have been players that wouldn't go for that play and would just try and maybe crouch around the corner, hope to get a kill or two, get taken down, and then you can see 20 to 30 seconds going in favor of the other team because of it. Pznguin's a guy like that. Pznguin's like, I don't care if I have an extra death statistic. I am more than happy to get this ball away from the enemy team so that they cannot score. And you need players like that. And again, everyone on SSG can do it as well, but Pznguin just does it a little bit more often.
That's something we've seen. SSG, particularly StelluR, he's been having an incredible tournament. The slays he's been putting up, the numbers he's been putting down. And he could be in championship winning form here today.
I mean, he's been the guy who's been getting all the kills in map number 1 and map number 2 for SSG. He quietly goes about his business, as does this entire SSG roster, as they have done historically throughout the HCS. But now maybe it's time to get a little bit loud, a little bit proud, because game number 3 is just about to get started.
Game 3 then. As the battle drum beats, which team is to take the series lead here? It's game time. And we're on board at Royal 2. Eyes trained over bottom middle, staring acutely at Pznguin. And it's not the kind of Pznguin you want to be cuddling.
Oh, SSG just walk on in, waltz on in, and grab the rockets freely. Eco said, you know what, everyone else has got eyes trained elsewhere. Thank you very much, but there is going to be a drop shield that he has to worry about. Second rocket does do damage at the very least as the ball tries to get whisked away. It's going to be a battle on Pink Street at the moment.
World 2's in trouble. So much pressure. The stock rifle and battle rifle fire combined. Frosty goes down. It's important here, the FaZe clan don't keep throwing bodies at it. Just get themselves nice and composed here and get ready to break a setup because it's going back tram. Do they have the tickets for entry? Renegade gets the jump on StelluR, but Pznguin's on hand to help him. 2 dead for FaZe. The first initial chance at breaking the setup hasn't been all too successful.
And usually I'd favor the team who's starting as the red team here, who can start from the high ground, who can make sure they get those rockets, but
you've been watching Star Wars too much.
I mean, something one of our producers pointed out is SSG like to pick the blue team when they have the opportunity. They are more than aware of starting on this side, on the low side, and you can see it happen in front of our very eyes. Eco was well trained in making sure he gets the quickest route to those rockets. They also get the Stalker rifle, and now because of it, they've got ball time, they've got Bulldog, they've got everything they could have wanted here.
Bulldog's off leash. It's barking, it's biting. Down goes the snake. It's not often you see a dog versus fighting a snake, but we've seen exactly which one comes out on top this time. StelluR heading up the driveway then. He's got 2 members of FaZe clan to face. SnakeBite will do damage and step away. Shroud Scream will help close the gap for Renegade though, and that's going to be a pick. 24 seconds to 1. Neither team really getting the setup that they want, not able to amount any real point advantage for now.
No, it wasn't a big setup for SSG, but 24 points, I mean, a quarter of the way is still fantastic for them. And that was all off the back of the starting strategy, really. Rockets are now up again. Renegade has eyes on them, but Bound is going to be the player who bounds on in and grabs them. 2 rockets in the chamber to work with. He just needs to help out StelluR here. There's a little bit of a panic, and second panic rocket as well, as Frosty manages to do his best Matrix impression and dodges both.
Puckett's not here today, but I'm glad to see players are still paying homage with the rockets. Frosty then in arcade. Has he got the change to play a few games? Insert coin here. Gets one on the Pznguin. StelluR back tram, heading towards Ivy. Bound on garbage, gets taken down. Frosty holds the cross. StelluR's in big trouble front base. 3 dead for SSG. Ball in hands of SnakeBite. And he's bringing it towards PD and looking to lock it down.
Pznguin just getting caught there in trash, and it's a frustrating experience when you're trying to make a little bit of a flank, when you're trying to have a 1v1 with someone, and then here arrives Frosty, who catches you off guard. A lot of ball time being gathered now by FaZe. There was a great response after the initial start from SSG, and now they've got that ball over towards Tower. If they can get the next set of slays, they could set themselves up for a solid chunk of time.
What can Frosty do? Not interested in building snowmen today, or letting it go. He heads towards Cafe. A couple of Bulldog shots will go down, but not enough to do the significant damage required to take down Pznguin. 2 dead then. Frosty and Renegade have to watch their teammates then. scramble here. SnakeBite got the play ball, but it's coming straight back at him as he manages to get away driveway and back towards red to his teammates who have just spawned up. Can they collapse here? Yet again, Rockets in 10.
Well, I mean, I speak a lot about Pznguin being the guy who grabs the ball, holds the ball. Instead, he just tossed it away. He's got the Bulldog to work with. No way he needs to be playing the objective right now. And I tell you what, you got a Shroud screen to protect you. Rockets and Bulldog. Pznguin is going to be quite the force. He has all the arsenal he could have possibly wanted. It's a big double killing spree for him. And that will allow SSG just to continue that. It's going to be a triple, and it could be more. He wants to march on, but he has no ammo left. And SnakeBite will just try and escape this one. But Pznguin, 9 kills at the moment. Forget the objective. He says, I can do a little bit of everything.
SnakeBite hates Halo, doesn't he? Just couldn't give him the overkill. Hates it. Does eventually go down, though. 2 dead. Frosty and Renegade stand. Pznguin has ball in hands. This is what we expected to see as he now starts to amount time. Frosty trying to give Pznguin the wiggles, does so successfully, but StelluR will get the trade. Tries to pick up the ball, but is forced to play it here over towards the palm tree. Bound, putting down some cover fire, some suppression fire. Shroud screen goes down just to limit the line of sight that SnakeBite has.
Those were the plays that I was talking about, though, from StelluR. Just being able to toss that out over towards palm trees. It saves SSG now probably 10 to 15 seconds of ball time. FaZe would have easily grabbed it at the top of stairs. But now they've got to wait. They've got to try and slay out. They need to get into a position where it's comfortable to grab. And SSG are making it ever present at the moment, saying you cannot have any sort of comfortable pickup. And look at that, SnakeBite goes down.
Pznguin's in hot pursuit. Frosty's got ball in PD. Royal 2, down to 1 shot. Trying to get a trade desperately, but Frosty peeks his head out the door. A couple of shots down. Both players of SSG down to no shields, but they've got numbers. They've overwhelmed FaZe here.
SnakeBite needs to wait, needs to be patient, wait for the spawners. Royal 2 is going to be the first one who goes alongside him. And you really need to be thinking about these rockets here. SSG can prioritize time, or they can start to think about setting up around the rockets. You can try and do both. Sometimes when you hedge your bets either way, you can be punished for it, and maybe this could happen. SSG find 2 go down, and FaZe Clan can now make the push and potentially get the rockets alongside it.
Ball has been played out front base by Pznguin, like we spoke about. Eco's got himself yet another set of rockets. Boombox over the shoulder, and if you're a fan of rock and roll, here comes the boom. SnakeBite goes down. Cafe cleared out. Closed for business. Ball down bottom middle still. Isolated is Eco. Renegade scoops it up. Brings it back towards his teammates. They have information of exactly where Eco's positioned. Teammates spawning over towards Tram. It's going to be a Cafe hit. Can they execute this one perfectly? Can they break this one up? Royal 2 and Renegade combine to get a kill. A trade for SnakeBite's good enough. 2-2 on the map now. StelluR throws down a grenade, but Royal 2's there to get the back whack. That's even more time for FaZe. They close in on that 72 points that Space Station have amounted.
Yeah, this first round's going down to the wire, just like it did when we watched them compete online. Royal 2 is big chance with nades here. That's a huge double. Renegade should be able to finish up the pieces. Will do. 3 go down for SSG. And FaZe have a chance to really wrestle back some time here. They take the lead. 1 player was remaining for SSG. It was StelluR.
SnakeBite trying to close the gap. Predicting there's going to be a push over towards red. StelluR's leaked through the gap, though. Information has got to come. They've got to clear him out. Pznguin's got the first pick here. This could be telling. This could be important. 2 kills for SSG. Renegade's in big trouble. He gets a trade, but it's not going to be enough. And SSG have hands on ball once more. FaZe have 1 final push.
Well, that was SSG's last real chance at pushing and stopping this game going in favor of FaZe, or at least the round, should I say. And it's going to be exactly the same now for FaZe. They're spawning over towards Arcade side. They've got 2 on that. And it's whether they send the 2 exactly the other way, just as we saw SSG and go for the pinch.
They haven't got time. FaZe have got to go. They've got the pick. Ball still in hands, though. Ball down. 1 second required. All 4 dead for SSG. The setup's been broken wide open. And Frosty's got hands on the ball. Round 1 goes to FaZe Clan.
Unbelievable, back against the wall, and FaZe make sure they perfectly push over towards Arcade. They send 1 member around the other side of PD. The grenades were phenomenal. And SSG, it felt like they were a millisecond away from taking that, but that's how close these 2 teams are. It's going to come down to those fine margins, those 1 little push situations. As we start now round 2, Rockets have yet to been grabbed by either team, but 3 have gone down on the side of SSG.
Absolutely zero time to catch your breath. This game has been fast-paced. This series has been back and forth. Stalker Rifle putting down some damage, not enough though. Renegade needs to get himself out of dodge. Why as he decides to. Bounds in trouble, trades left, right and center. Ball down in no man's land over towards benches. That can't be a carry-on in any bus. StelluR, bottom middle. Looking towards tires. Engages with Renegade. Face to face with Royal 2. And they combine, both players down to no shield. StelluR's done an awful lot of damage to ensure FaZe can't get forward quickly. And another kill for Bound. As he drops bottom middle, secures one on the SnakeBite, triple kill. And Bound is rolling.
Well, after losing such a close first round, SSG, do they feel a little bit down on themselves? Are they maybe feeling upbeat after that triple kill? Well, the one way to find out, let's go to a listen-in with Space Station.
B stairs on me, Frosty, and driveway.
Look
B
at bottom
stairs,
mid,
Frosty.
look at bottom mid.
B stairs, weak, Frosty.
I can watch it in.
They're going bottom mid.
Yeah,
I think they're going bottom mid.
Weak bottom mid. Weak bottom mid.
I don't think they're B side bound. I don't think they're B side.
Could jump AT. I'm looking at you, Brid.
I spawn B again. I spawn B again.
Other one, bottom mid.
Second
ATM.
floor,
And B
Front
stairs.
tower, front tower.
Shoddy, on Shoddy.
We can B
Kevin,
stairs.
Kevin,
We can
Kevin,
B
Kevin,
stairs. Tires.
Look at tires.
Weak laundry, weak laundry.
They're gonna be cafe as well. Tower, shotgun.
I see that.
One shot, back tower with Shoddy on
B
the
stairs in
shield.
front C. B stairs in front C.
Back, tower, one shot.
Tower down.
Tower still weak, tower still weak.
One shot rail.
One shot B stairs. Two shots B pillars. All is weak.
They got rockets. I'm pushing red room.
Tire, quick, John.
Towers is back.
On ball weak. All dead. Scan.
Back tower with rockets.
One shot top C.
Spawn cafe, and back tower with rockets.
Right front C. Frosty.
You can just hear subtly in the background Elamite just reminding them Rocket's very important. We need to prioritize them when they do come up. Even though it's a 30-second lead at the moment for SSG, they know full well FaZe have already done that in the previous round. They've been able to get back into these games so quickly and so easily with just one push. 2 members go down at FaZe, and they were the ones who got the rocket and SnakeBite making them count.
SnakeBite gets 2. Double kill. Looking to sink his teeth in the 3, but Bound ensures that will not be an eventuality. Bound all alone, crying, looking for a bailout here. On past goal, goes, looking jail. Royal 2 getting absolutely fried by the Sentinel beam. StelluR got 1 elsewhere, 3 dead for FaZe. An opportunity then for even more ball time for SSG.
And even more for Bound. Bound's been the one who stepped up for SSG on this objective. He always seems to find himself in the right place at the right time just to move that ball over and have a little bit more of a sneaky amount of time. I think you mentioned it just before this game started. Having someone who is prepared just to grab it for a few seconds, very important, but here comes the FaZe push.
2 dead for SSG. Bound recognizing he's in trouble. Plays the ball over towards Statue, but not before getting a trade. As he's got Sentinel beam in hand now. SnakeBite drops the shield, Stalker Rifle doing damage, another trade for Bound. They can be huge in just ensuring FaZe not get the optimal setup.
Bound is so good at doing that. He didn't panic, even though he ran out of ammo on the Sentinel beam, had to reload. It was a quick slide and melee, knew exactly how he wanted to play it. And that's what you want from anyone who's playing the objective, anyone who's holding that ball. As long as they can trade with the first person that pushes them, they've done their job.
Rockets up soon. Shroud screen goes down, scooped up. It's going to be SnakeBite again. Expectation on his shoulders to make the difference with the Rockets. Member of SSG situated bottom tower. I don't think he was spotted out. SnakeBite gets 1 though. He hears the call that his ball carrier's been hassled, he's been harried. Pznguin gets the kill, plays the ball once more. 1 rocket down on Generator. That information will be passed over by SnakeBite. Pznguin's in big trouble. Royal 2 trying to get the angle, but Pznguin keeps frustrating. Pznguin continues to milk. Pznguin survives.
So frustrating when you're on the receiving end of that as well. You're just not able to get those final shots, and if Pznguin's able to go and get a kill because of it, and he's done a bit of a worldie here. Did anyone pick up that rocket would be the big question. I mean, you're completely right. FaZe would have known full well it was there, but maybe SSG didn't. But Pznguin's still alive, still doing damage, and ball time still being gathered here by SSG. They are well in control of this round.
Pznguin's absolutely lasered here, gets another trade. 2 dead for FaZe. Bound bottom middle. Spots out 1, back whack. Elbow to the spine. This round of oddballs so far has been textbook for the boys in gold.
And it's been such a close game across both rounds in terms of slays. 86 at the moment for FaZe, but only 84 on the opposition side of SSG. Nothing really to split the difference. It's all been about those fine margins, about those pushes. Who can get those kills when it matters? Who can get that pick to try and push through as a squad? Bound goes down. And now FaZe need to try and find some sort of setup here. That's something that SSG have done so well this game, is they've not allowed FaZe to get that ideal setup. Instead, they've made them rotate with it. They've made them go for the poor man setup time and time again.
2 members down for SSG. It's a 2v2 on the map. Make it 2v3. Renegade has Bulldog. Trying to clear out tires. Here's footsteps around him. Gets caught unawares though. Bound gets another. Bulldog transfers hands. Rocket scooped up as well. Bound with 107 seconds on the ball. +4. Rockets in hand. It's a Bound world and we're just living in it.
I mean, it was going to happen at some point, wasn't it? We were waiting for Bound to really have that tournament where he showed us truly what he's been made of and what he was going to turn into as a player. The young prodigy has shown up and has fitted so well into this SSG roster. He's got just about the most kills, the most objective, and he keeps getting the important stuff.
Final seconds remain. 4 seconds required to end this round and tie up the oddball game, and SSG do. We're all tied up in the series. We're all tied up in the game. Both these teams want a ticket to grand finals, and neither of them willing to give up an inch for it.
I cannot express enough how important it is to win this map 3, especially as map number 4 is going to be Strongholds Live Fire. It's a map in mode we haven't seen either team play so far this tournament. So when it comes to research, when it comes to prep, it has to be about those online performances. How much of the research has coaches done? How have they done? The early stages here, FaZe at least have been able to get the opening time, and I think that's what they need to prioritize a little bit more now, is that scrappy ball time. They allowed SSG to too freely grab that ball at times, and most of the time it was because of Bound.
Rockets go down, but they're in the safe hands of Eco. Splash damage enough to take Renegade down to no shields and to the early grave. 2 down for FaZe then. Pznguin ensures SnakeBite will join the boys in red and black. Ball in hands once more for SSG. They've got some semblance of control, some semblance of a hold over towards PD. They've got the numbers required to ensure they get even more ball time as well.
Both teams cross 100 kills at the same time. It is so even in slays. And if either team can just have that one player who pops off a little bit, a killing spree could do a world of good, as Eco just listening to his team. Dominating and holding top tower at the moment, forcing Royal 2 back, as SSG have a solid setup at the moment. They just need to be keeping an eye on Arcade. Don't allow anyone to just be able to sneak through here and surprise the ball carrier.
Nothing at the moment is getting past Eco without getting a couple of shots in its shields. Renegade leaks through. It's the second time in quick succession that Renegade has been the first pick. Unsuccessful in breaking the setup so far. Royal 2 though will follow him in. 3 dead for SSG. Pznguin tries to play the ball, but it's too difficult a task. Bound trying to deny any real ball time. It's scooped up by Frosty. SnakeBite wins a 1v1. 3 dead once more for SSG.
Massive kill from SnakeBite, and also making sure he doesn't go down to Bound there. Otherwise it would not be as much ball time. It's funny how both teams are really trying to force the opposition into PD as well, because once you get that ball into PD, the grenades become such an important factor to break the setup. Do you know what else is good at breaking setups? Rockets, and Bound has them yet again.
Fires 1. Didn't need to find the home. His teammates were on hand to ensure maximum damage was done. Second rocket's a flare. Not inspiring, not really able to hold the setup, and the FaZe push comes from Cafe. SnakeBite jumping out front C. Perhaps with a stock rifle in his hand. Pznguin gets a huge double plasma grenade kill elsewhere though. 3 dead for FaZe. This should mean again ball time in PD for SSG. This seems to be their preferred setup.
And I was saying we need to see a player go on a killing spree and start to pop off. Well, again, it's StelluR, 35 kills now, as he's leading the charge for SSG. They have a 30-point lead here in round 3. And again, it's a PD setup. Eco has the Stalker rifle to work with, so that's going to kind of scare FaZe Clan a little bit, but at least it's out of ammo.
Ball carrier getting pressured. Pznguin steps out. Eliminates Frosty from the equation, but not before going down himself. FaZe break the setup eventually. 71 seconds. is the target to match. 72 to take the lead.
And you saw it there for a split second. Pznguin wins that initial engagement and then he tries to pick up the ball, hoping he can have enough time to then toss it out. It's those little decisions. It's why Pznguin is so good. Of course, he didn't work out on that occasion, but you can really see the thought process.
Renegade with a 37 kill bomb at the moment. Royal 2 putting 2 more in his column. Bulldog in hand. Over towards Cafe as he slides behind StelluR. Drop wall goes down. StelluR joins it.
Uh-oh.
Ball time continued to be held. Waiting patiently for a fresh spawner is Royal 2 here. Shoots them, recognizes nobody's coming. The hit's going to be over towards the arcade. Bound, goes down, but not before getting a kill of his own.
And even though no one came towards the nades, at least Royal 2 was able to give that information that all 4 members were going to be arcade. So FaZe were somewhat prepared, but again, SSG, when they fly together, so much damage because they prioritize who they're going to be looking at and they target one individual and take them down one by one. And again now, SSG can start to score here in PD and it's going to give FaZe probably 1 or 2 more pushes to try and stop this game from going in the hands of SSG.
Ball dropped. 2 dead for SSG. StelluR recognizes this in a 1v1 with Renegade and Renegade comes out on top, all 4 dead. We've seen this movie before.
We have indeed. Now FaZe need to set up properly. They need to be talking about where are these spawns. Bound goes down off of spawn straight away. That's huge for FaZe because now they have the numbers advantage right from the rip. SnakeBite gets rid of all that ammo of the Stalker rifle because he knows he's going down. He knows he's going to give it away. But SSG now have that extra player.
Experienced play from the veteran SnakeBite. Here comes the push. Will it be successful for SSG? It's a 4v4 on the map for now. Can SnakeBite get close? Bulldog does enough to get a pick, but it's traded out immediately. Royal 2 down to no shields, but it's again another trade. Frosty getting pressured, getting hassled, getting harried. Plasma grenades go down. Eco can't connect, can't find a home, and they continue to hold the ball, and they're starting to rotate now.
What a rotation that is from SnakeBite. He whisks it away and sends it towards Station. He forces SSG to have to rotate around the entire map, and that gives FaZe now a chance off spawn to battle back. Renegade gets 1, Royal 2 the second. Ooh. 3 down for SSG.
SnakeBite screaming, come and get it. All 4 dead. Once more for SSG. And the general holds the ball, and he's cradling it and keeping it nice and close.
It's one last push, 2 over towards Arcade. Eco has to come through bottom middle. I don't think there's time here for SSG.
They only need 2, 1, and FaZe claim game 3 and take the series lead.
And that oddball game had a little bit of everything. As soon as you thought a team was in control, the other would just snatch it back and snatch it away from them. And you've got to go back to that round 1, 100-99 in favor of FaZe. The fact they were able to steal that round away from SSG when it looked like they should have been more than comfortable, maybe that just deflated them a little bit. In the end, it was 137 kills in favor of FaZe to the 129 of SSG. They were back and forth. They were neck and neck through the entire rounds there on oddball, but finally FaZe made a difference in those final moments.
What a bloody game. What an incredible series so far. Both these teams at war, looking for a place and a spot back in grand finals, back where both feel they belong. But not only that, they want the advantage of having a bracket reset.
And one of the biggest differences that we saw, especially in that round 3, how many times did that oddball get given away in PD, and then you would happily win the fight, get the ball, and then you get a setup? I think that FaZe recognized if they had lost that ball over towards PD, they lose that game. So they moved the ball around. I think it was actually Renegade who initially moved it over towards Tower. And with 2 members down, SnakeBite said, you know what, we need to get this ball away from SSG ASAP. And somehow he was able to dip all the way down to Pink Street into Station. And that was the biggest move that they could have possibly made because it won them the game. And they find themselves 2-1 up here in the winners' final.
I think we've seen SnakeBite pop that ball into a stroller and start running down Cafe, screaming help. But Stronghold's live fire is on the horizon here. And it could be the difference maker, it could be a series decider, because if FaZe claim victory here, they will push forward into grand finals. Dan, tell me something about game 4.
Well, as I said, neither team has played this map and mode yet this tournament. But look at those stats from the previous game. I mean, Royal 2 has the highest KD at the moment. Pznguin had the most damage, by the way. I mean, I was talking about Pznguin being that objective player, but he is the guy who is always going to be able to put down damage as well. And excuse me, these are the Stronghold stats. So going into game 4, this is across this tournament. So keep an eye on Royal too. Keep an eye on Pznguin, because they are going to be the difference makers going into map number 4 here. I will say that Strongholds has been an interesting one this tournament. We've seen some teams really struggle with it, especially when you lose that initial control. But Livefire can sometimes flow a little better. For example, Recharge, it can be very setup heavy. You get stuck on spawn, you can't really break through. Livefire, sometimes we see people manipulate it in a way where it's a constant rotation, and we'll have to see how both of these teams try and play it.
And I was talking to SnakeBite last night, and we're talking about the map mode combinations, and he said he was pretty happy with the series layout, and actually he's pretty happy they didn't get Strongholds Recharge, because he says recently they've not been having the same kind of success they would like.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some disappointing performances from the likes of FaZe on Recharge in general previously. I mean, I remember Oddball Recharge being an awful game type for them once upon a time. But sometimes you just have to avoid those bad game types. It's, what, we have 17, 18 game types, maps and modes that you have to play here in the HCS. There is so much consistency you need to be able to practice through. And that's what makes some of these best teams the best teams, is they are good across the majority of maps and modes. So you can't look at a series layout and be like, oh, damn it, I wish we had X, Y, or Z. You need to be confident in every single map and mode that is there and available to you. And Strongholds Livefire, I feel like, is the bread and butter sometimes of the HCS. It's a map and mode that everyone should be more than comfortable with nowadays. And yes, okay, there's been changes here or there to the sandbox and what's been added with utility. But still, at its very core, it works the same. The sniper rifle going to be very important, and we have a lot of players on that main stage who know how to use it. Let's see if anyone can pop off.
Game 4 then. The stage is set for a player to become a hero here. FaZe Clan up against SSG. A ticket at Grand Finals up for grabs, particularly if FaZe are to win it here and now. Our SSG going to be feeling a little bit deflated with how close they came. In Game 3, we're underway, we're rocking and rolling.
And it's whether you go initially straight towards B, or do you start to set up for that overshield? It looks like it's going to be the latter for FaZe. They take down 1, we'll have the player advantage, now make it 2, could be 3. And that's the starting strategy of dreams for FaZe, because it's all 4 dead for SSG. Overshield will now go in their hands as well. And they should be the team to start scoring here.
Wonder if anybody has been watching gameplay from Quadrant. One of the best Strongholds games internationally now, I think it's fair to say, particularly on this map. Absolutely dominant. What have they been doing that everybody else hasn't? And can the North American teams, for maybe once ever, learn from a European team? As they start to control A, do FaZe and B, looking for a triple cap.
It was really smartly played as well by SnakeBite. He recognized he was numbers down, but he had the overshield. He just had to use the wall to his advantage. Wastes that heat wave a little bit more, does enough damage to help Renegade, who is going to be arriving late, and it's Frosty who has first hands on the sniper rifle. It's an early lead. We've seen Space Station go down 4 dead twice, and it's 3 dead this time. Total control for FaZe, a lot of points being scored. StelluR tries as he might, but cannot take down Frosty.
Frosty ducks away. Sniper rifle still in hand. As I say that, he goes down though. So sniper rifle will be down over towards Overshield and Rat Tunnel. Scooped up this time by SnakeBite. Perfectly done. Information transferred. The general scoops it up. Perhaps thinking about dropping it off to a teammate. Or is he feeling himself? Does he want to be the difference maker here? Oh, he's trained over top middle. Connects with the body. Tries to connect onto StelluR as well, but he scampers away bottom tower. SnakeBite's looking for a second bite of the cherry here. Sinks in his teeth. Gets some venom injected. And down goes StelluR. Oh, trying to play the sniper rifle. Heads up play again by SnakeBite.
He always had a backup plan, didn't he? He knew if he missed the shot, he could at least toss it off the map. Overshield is popping. Is anyone from SSG actually in a position? Because SSG, the thing is, they had to wrestle back control. And yes, okay, Eco focuses on it. So this is the time now for Space Station to try and get back into this game. They've not only got the numbers now, but they've also got the overshield to work with. A and C is going to be in their control. And if they try and do what FaZe Clan did, it's about really pressing your advantage when it's there and it's available to you. Get that total control, get all 3 strongholds, because that time really does start to churn up.
A lot of damage put down onto Eco. That overshield was only really good for 1 kill, but they managed to get a couple of caps in the meantime, so the pressure that they've been able to put down, a triple cap locked in, and our FaZe Clan to tap out here and now. Are they to dwindle away, or do they have a twist here?
You could see that off-spawn SnakeBite was just dipping his toes into C to see what would happen. But Space Station took full advantage of it. Now they know everyone's over towards A. This is where you can set up, this is where you can set traps and make sure it's hard to escape. And this is what teams do so well at the moment on Stronghold's live fire. As soon as you see those spawns, as soon as you see one of those Strongholds start to be taken, you collapse and you go for another 3 or 4 dead, and you keep scoring with 3 Strongholds.
Absolutely beautiful Strongholds play here from SSG. Textbook, as they only allow FaZe Clan to capture 1. And they're almost right back into this one. Repulsor play onto Renegade, sent back. He connected already with SnakeBite. Look at the line up too, excuse me. But SSG, after that impressive hold from FaZe, are right back into things here.
I mean, SSG were about 10 kills down to start with, and they were about, what, 80 points behind as well. But now suddenly they find themselves leading, or just about tied now with FaZe in terms of the slaying department, and they're still scoring. FaZe are struggling to get across towards C. Finally, they step their toe in, but there is going to be some members for resistance over towards it. And suddenly Bound is the last one to be added. And even though the Shroud screen goes down, it's not going to be enough. The reset can come through, and SSG still score.
Overshield in 4. Frosty waiting for it. Bound, eyes trained. Sniper rifle shot connects. That could be a dagger to the heart to FaZe Clan's opportunities of getting themselves back into the game here and now. Eco gets another one. 2 dead then. As Bound slowly rotates, Eco goes down. It's going to be his hands that secure this overshield here and now. Scooped up. Bound pops into his chest. They have all the ingredients they need to score even more points.
Well, manages to just avoid the plasma pistol as well. And that shot onto the overshield was huge from Bound. I mean, I've seen so many players miss that in the big games, but Bound is a big game player nowadays as Renegade just goes past the reticle. Bound at the moment just wants to try and find someone to kill, but FaZe have done very well to avoid the OV.
3 dead for SSG, 4 dead. Go the boys in gold. An opportunity then for FaZe to stop the bleeding. They were hemorrhaging points. And maybe now they can inflict some damage of their own. They can impose themselves. They can dictate the pace. But SSG over towards green. They're absolutely infested over there, and FaZe Clan have to clear them out. Call the exterminator. Is Royal 2 to be the man? Shroud screen goes down. SnakeBite needs help. He's screaming for it. He's calling for it, but it's not coming.
FaZe, they were struggling a little bit. They were able to break that setup. They were able to stop the overshield. It's a good time to go through the eyes and ears of FaZe Clan with a listening.
Cut the key door. Oh, nice, Matt, we should go. A play. No, I'm coming to you. All good. Let's just go top mid.
Alright, OV snipe at 30, guys. OV snipe 30. Are you OV snipe 30? Go. All we need is a good set of kills here. We're chilling. No, A5. We got well. Everything in 20, guys.
I'm gonna left, guys. He left.
I'm looking PJ. White peeking it.
He's one mid.
One's nest. One A flat as well. A flat. Yo, dummies. One hit, dummies. Everything in 10. Live for everything. That's an A, bro.
I'm getting
tunnel, full health. Tunnel. Yep, everything in 5.
I'm gonna shot. I go. Starting for you.
Look at that. Yo, on OV, on it. Hey, aping you.
Go ahead.
Let's go. Let's build off this.
One in A.
Where's he going, PJ? Talk to me. See plat.
He went rat tunnel.
Okay. He's gonna come in. Yo, weapons are down. Rat tunnel, he's absolute. Nice. Weapons are down.
John, I'm gonna go B.
Yeah, go B.
Where?
What if he dead? John, watch out, nest, guys.
Pillars behind you, John, rushing you.
Thank you, John. Nice.
Don't nest, guys.
Stuck there, John. I have nades.
Yo, on me mud, guys, Yeah, sniper's on.
A big triple there from Renegade as FaZe make sure they are going to push through and try and stay alive here, try and keep this game, and they saw how important it was going to be just to prioritize that overshield.
Sacrificed a lot of points to get the overshield. And was it all in vain? Because again, SSG locked him into a trap. 2 dead. Needler not enough to get the kill. StelluR will also fall. Here comes the cavalry. Pznguin gets Frosty, who was down to no shields from a previous engagement. SnakeBite recognizes that he hasn't got what he needs to secure A. And SSG close in on that 250-point threshold.
And FaZe gave a lot of time up, waiting for that OV, waiting for the weapons, and they thought they might be able to at least bounce off the back of it, but SSG have made it so awkward. They've constantly been pressing them either at A or at C, as Pznguin does it yet again, and they're still scoring here.
SSG have got FaZe in the blender here. It's been a full court press. SnakeBite tries as he might, will not be successful. And well, we're going to a Game 5, baby.
A Game 5 in the winners' finals is exactly what the doctor ordered, and exactly what both of these teams deserve. An incredible back and forth. mind games, methodical strategy. It's had a little bit of everything. But there was a period there where SSG were just so firmly on top and FaZe couldn't wrestle back control whatsoever. Even though they waited for that overshield, they waited for the snipe, it wasn't enough to break through.
You can see the play calls were being made. The executions, however, were lacking. And SSG, once they got that triple cap, that's where all the damage was done. That's where FaZe needed to try and bounce back. They didn't have as much time to play with as perhaps they would have wanted, as perhaps they thought they did. They were hoping the weapons could propel them forward and eat away at the lead that SSG had built up. What they didn't account for was SSG just being too good in that time.
And also sometimes it's about players just clutching up and bound. I mean, I know it was only one snipe shot onto the overshield, but that was one big difference maker for SSG, being able to restrict FaZe from grabbing it. And in a very different game had they not. And you sometimes need your big game players. This is the one I was talking about. If Frosty had grabbed that, suddenly they might have been able to just push back the control, get A and B once more. But ever from that point, SSG were always on top, and unfortunately for FaZe, they were never really able to gather their thoughts. Even when they had that overshield, even when they had the sniper rifle, SSG were waiting in the wings, they were baiting traps because time was on their side.
And we talked about it, this tournament having everything. Upsets, game 5s galore. And like you said, the doctor ordered, I think we've had game 5s on prescription all weekend long.
And this is a huge game 5 as well, because it means when you go into that grand final as a victor from the winners final, you have a best of 7 advantage. This one map is essentially worth 4 maps in a way. And both these teams would love to just be able to kick back, put their feet up, watch that elimination final, and prepare for a grand final where you have such a significant advantage. But right now it's about focusing on Aquarius Slayer. Funnily enough, it's a map and mode that the team waiting in the elimination final has been incredible at, Slayer Aquarius, but both these teams have played Optic enough that have beaten them on this map and mode enough times as well. SSG have yet to lose Aquarius Slayer in this tournament, but FaZe have dropped it once.
It can all come down to who has the ice in game 5. Who has the composure? Who wants it more? Who can execute on strategies that they've no doubt been talking about all weekend long.
It's also the first time we've seen SSG go to a game number 5 so far this tournament. You can see that FaZe have been in 2 game 5s so far, and they have been able to clutch up and make sure they win. Championship Sunday FaZe, are they going to be able to do it yet again here as SSG now have to face adversity and ensure that they stay focused and they can be the team to instead clutch up here in game 5.
And how fitting is it to have these players in this winners finals? You'd be forgiven for thinking, have you just woken up in Halo 5 times? Is this Splice v Tox? All too familiar are these with one another. They've been to many winners finals, many grand finals. And they meet and lock horns here again in winners finals. But which one will be victorious? Which one will have the bragging rights? But more importantly, which one will have the advantage of a bracket reset come grand finals?
And every player on that stage will know that even if they were to drop into that elimination final, they have more than enough to get themselves back into that grand final. But it becomes a very long Sunday if you do drop down and then have to win a bracket reset once you get to the grand final. But they'll also be well aware that the reigning champions, not just the most recent LAN, but also the world champions of Optic Gaming, are waiting in that elimination bracket. They have won 3 LANs in a row. They are still going for that 4-peat. And they had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder after some disappointing performances on Friday. And Optic will be backstage, warming up, getting ready for whoever is going to meet them here in that elimination final. And I don't think you really want to face Optic on a Sunday.
I don't think you want to face Optic really any time. I think
maybe a Friday at this point.
Friday, Saturday maybe not so great either, but certainly not a championship Sunday with how their record has been. For the first time, Optic have to try and do it from the elimination side of things. They will not have that insurance policy. They have got to take down whoever falls from here. And they might actually, on the balance of things, think to themselves, we fancy FaZe a little bit more with the way the records have been.
Well, Renegade and Bound, 2 players who, of course, had to swap sides almost. Well, not quite, but Bound did replace Renegade on that SSG roster once he left. And even though Renegade's been through it all, he finally found himself on the team that he wanted to call home, which is now FaZe Clan. It is the God Squad that they wanted to create. And they created it, of course, to take down teams like SSG, to take down teams like Optic Gaming. FaZe have yet to win a championship with this roster. Is it going to be enough here today? First, they have to power through SSG, a team like SSG that has been really the devil of FaZe Clan so many times. Eco has had that brain power to take them down before. Is he going to be able to do it again here in game number 5? The 2 players I think we should focus on going into a Slayer, on Aquarius in particular. On the side of SSG is going to be StelluR. Not only has StelluR been incredible today on every map in mode, but he seems to always just amplify things when it comes to Aquarius. It's just the way he plays the map and always keeps his ear down to the ground. Great at responding to his teammates' call-outs. Always makes sure he's finishing off those kills. On the side of FaZe, you better believe that Renegade's going to be stepping up. He had 18 kills in the previous game, and he will want to be the one who puts SSG down into that elimination bracket.
Will it be Renegade and Co who come out on top? Or have you been saying your prayers to SSG's? These 2 boys are going to lock horns. They were shell-shocked when he left, but they found an ample replacement. A ticket for grand finals up for grabs. And what better place to settle this squabble than on Aquarius?
And we've already seen the back and forth for camouflages on each map at the moment. Argyle was in favor of SSG. Recharge, it was definitely in favor of FaZe. And we can see the difference already because Bound's been able to steal it away, and now he can start to give all this information to the rest of the team. He's not worried about getting kills right now. Instead, he's just feeding.
Opening pick for SSG. Camouflage descending on the guy in Fridge. Somehow, someway, SnakeBite gets a trade. That could be huge. Renegade misses and whiffs a melee, but 2 players on SSG down to no shields. Royal 2 gets 1, but Eco's got the heat wave in the back pocket, and he's frying. It'll do more than get a creak out of your neck, that thing, I promise you that.
And SSG have an early advantage, not only because they were able to get the camo, but also that heat wave and now the ammo going down. They'll have the ideal timing on it. Whereas FaZe Clan are just going to have to try and work it out for themselves and maybe see if they can suss it, sniff it out, and grab it instead. 3 go down for SSG. FaZe, they respond incredibly to that early start. And it's quite a fast-paced start here on Aquarius. I wouldn't be surprised if it slows down a little bit later on, but at the moment, because it's constant staggered spawns, both teams trying to take advantage of it.
SSG still hold the lead. And it's 3, the difference between the 2 teams. Pznguin, little denial grenade down, top engine. Nobody has stepped out. Thruster pack is up. That information's been passed over. Teammate on hand to scoop it up. They could be the difference maker in turning a fight. Pznguin's got a huge pinch here, and FaZe have got the tail between the legs. They're trying to run, but the Pznguin's slipping and sliding, and he wants more blood.
You got to respect it though from FaZe. Frosty just turning around saying we can't continue to run forever. We have to at least put some damage in. But SSG find themselves 4 up, make it 3 because Royal 2 gets 1. And that camo is popping, but it looks like SSG should be in the best position to grab it as they force FaZe Clan back onto spawn, but great nades coming out from FaZe.
3 the difference. This game could swing either way. Camouflage could have a massive influence. Heat wave 2. 2 down for SSG. 2 down for FaZe Clan. They're trading blow for blow here in winners finals.
I think either team just needs to make sure they do not go down more than about 5 kills. You've always got to stay within it. Even though we've seen incredible comebacks and crazy things happen in this tournament, these are 2 of the best teams that do not usually throw away big leads. So when we get to that kind of 40 kill mark, if you are not within 5, then you are going to be very much struggling and have to really think outside the box to try and break through the setups of the opposition team. Royal 2 gets another double, and he's still marauding around the map, making sure he helps the rest of the squad.
These 2 heavyweights standing in the middle of the ring, trading heavy haymakers at one another. FaZe take the lead. 1 kill is all that separates them. First pick going to be so important. As Royal 2 clambers up towards top engine, grenade goes down to half shields. Has to give himself an out if the pressure comes. SnakeBite's got a pinch here. SnakeBite and Renegade combine to secure 2, but Space Station immediately answer back with 2 of their own.
It's the effect of the trades at the moment and how every time either team loses 2, it seems like 2 are quickly responded by the other squad. No one's allowing individuals just to be running around the map on their own too much. It's only when you lose your duo that you have to start thinking about, how do I play this as an individual? And this is what's happening for Pznguin now. He knows he's on his own, he knows he needs to communicate with the team, and you start to initiate a little bit of a pinch. You give the information there over towards Fridge, and you work together. But unfortunately for Space Station, FaZe Clan were prepared.
They're waiting for the pinch, but Pznguin's got 1. SnakeBite answers back and Royal 2's on hand. The old duo combined once more. And the lead remains at 2. Camouflage pops up. Can Royal 2 whisk it away to safety? The answer is yes for now.
Well, he does the smart thing in popping it into his chest just in case the grenades start to come in. Almost in no shields and just about survives and has eyes on StelluR as well. As Royal 2 can now start to plan a masterclass. Where does he go with it? Ideally, you want to get behind enemy lines, but again, just as Bound did earlier, you want to relay that information to the rest of the team so you can start to plan some form of attack. Blue base is where SSG are, over towards Fridge and top pink, and now FaZe can start to make their move.
StelluR's all alone, back blue. Do FaZe realize he's there? SnakeBite pings some enemies. 2 go down, make it 3. It's an expert pinch. Can they secure Pznguin, who manages to get 1? Down to no shields, Renegade's on hand. 4 kills now. FaZe putting breathing space between the 2 teams.
And they really have to continue this momentum. They know where the spawns are. They know they're going to be over towards Engine, so keep getting aggressive. But you've got to make sure it's timed aggression with the rest of your team. The trade does come through. 5-kill advantage now for FaZe. SSG cannot afford to let this one slip further. They have to stay within 5.
Bound guilty of chasing down a kill. Runs into 3 members of FaZe. Wisely decides to get himself out of dodge. Renegade waiting for the sizzle sticks here. They can have a massive influence on swinging this game. 4 kills now. All that separates them. Renegade makes it 5. The old rivalry continues to fight on. Bound then, down bottom middle. Loses the fight to Renegade once more, and Pznguin on hand. The trade to make sure the damage isn't as bad as it may have seemed. StelluR alone in the fridge, put on ice by Frosty.
Frosty with 11 assists at the moment, by the way. His damage output's been great, and the response from the rest of the squad, always finishing the damage that he's done, has been huge, and that's why they have a 6-kill lead. SSG off of spawn, need to make sure they at least get 1, but with 6 minutes remaining, we're not going to be worrying about the clock. It's going to be all about whether FaZe can get to 50 first. It's 43-35. SSG are starting to let this one slip through their fingers.
Here comes the heat wave. It's cooking, it's baking. Camouflage has been scooped up by Frosty. What can the snowman do? Eco down to no shields, as is Bound. They only require 5 more. They've got a 9-kill lead. Bound's in massive trouble as SnakeBite soars forward with Heatwave.
And you can see SSG want to slow this one down. They're desperately trying to force themselves back into the base, but off spawn they're staggered, and FaZe can taste blood.
They're going straight into the blender as FaZe continue to cook. They only require 1, and Frosty's still got some camouflage to play with. Shots go down, receive back and forth, and who else to get the final kill but Renegade? FaZe are going to grand finals, baby.
And what a winner's final it was. It had a little bit of everything. But I was worried if that got to more than a 5-kill lead, it was going to be so tough for either team to get back into it. And it was SSG who slipped up first. And FaZe, as soon as they could even smell blood, they pushed on in. They had the advantage. They constantly pinched the SSG roster, who were on staggered spawns. They would come up as a 2, they would die as a 2, they would spawn as a 2 and die again. And FaZe, in their first chance of asking, will find themselves in a grand final here in Dallas.